Coming up after the break, David Brennan on continuing the legacy of his lifelong friend Vicky Phelan.
Alive and Kicking with Clare McKenna on NEWSTALK.
You're welcome back to Alive and Kicking. Now, my next guest, David Brennan, knew Vicky Phelan from childhood. Forever a fan of hers and a friend, he of course became a supporter when she spoke out against the cervical check scandal, which ultimately she lost her life to last November. David bought the Vicky Phelan portrait by Irish artist Vincent Devine and has travelled up and down the country with it, helping to tell Vicky's story, educate on cervical cancer and raise funds for charity. And David joins me in studio now. David, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Claire.
And that's how we first met, at the portrait. We were at Shine Festival, which is organised by the Shona Project for schoolgirls. Can you remember that day and the reaction from some of the girls who were maybe hearing Vicky Phelan's story for the first time?
Indeed, yeah, I do, Claire. It probably the most memorable day, honestly. It was fantastic. 2 days, actually. I stepped in Vicky's shoes, if you like. She had been at the Shine Festival prior to that, but couldn't make it last year because of her health. But yeah, the interaction with the girls over the 2 days was it was amazing. These were girls that didn't necessarily know Vicky because, you know, in 2018, these kids were 10 and 11 years of age. So the last thing they'd be looking at is the news. But once, they experienced Vicky's story contained within the portrait, they were just absolutely blown away. But they will remember it. They were visually, you could see that they were taken aback by the whole story, really, you know.
And it's connecting people, isn't it, that portrait? And that's what's continuing on the legacy, because we both met the incredible Roisin, who had done her foundation, your project on the cervical check scandal.
Indeed, it's been one of the, I suppose, the amazing things that has happened. I speak with John Wall about this as well. Vicky is still connecting people to this day. And Roisin Nikaila, who attended Shine Festival in Waterford, I think it was in 2018 or 19, and she had met Vicky later on that evening in the Parlour Tea Rooms, which is exactly the same place that I met Roisin over a year ago. After, that was International Women's Day last year. So Roisin now comes along to the events as well. We managed to get her into the Shine Festival. So this was her first chance of speaking in front of people and telling her story, how she was inspired by Vicky, but also the amazing work that she did about the HPV vaccine and the survey that she did on Twitter, which the HSE obtained all the data from her to roll out the HPV vaccine to boys as well as girls in secondary school. So she was 14 at the time. So this is the point, I suppose, with Roisin, is that she represents change. And change. We can't make change from the top down, we know this, but we can certainly make change from grassroots up. And Roisin is symbolical of, I suppose, the change that is yet to come. She could well be a future leader of the country, but she's inspiring young girls and letting them know that you don't have to be, in your 30s, 40s or 50s to make change happen. You can do it now. You know?
Yeah. And that's something that Vicky really wanted to inspire change, because she was brave and courageous enough to do it herself. Can we talk a little bit about her in life then? Because I'm also conscious the last time we spoke was over the phone on radio. I was covering here on NEWSTALK on Lunchtime Live when it was announced that Vicky Phelan had died, and you came on, to join with the many people in the country who were really feeling it that day. But let's talk about her in life, because as I said in the introduction, you grew up with Vicky. You knew her from childhood.
Yeah, I hung around in Vicky's house since a very young age. So I suppose when I tell Vicky's story at the events that we have around the country, I do make reference to some memorable moments that I have of Vicky. And she was always very, a very strong-willed young girl. Everybody will tell you that knows her very well. She was very determined, very, very smart young kid, really, really smart. And she had a love of languages, a love of travelling, and she gave time. She gave time to everybody. Like, if you needed advice from Vicky, whether it be study, whether it be girlfriends, Vicky was your go-to. She really was like, and she remained that same person as well in, that everybody became to love and know around the country, because she gave the whole country her time when she didn't have time. And that was something I think that resonates with everybody. I mean, she made the decision, when the cervical check scandal broke, that that she actually said to her solicitor, and we talk about this at the events as well. She had said to Keane that if I'm, being asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, I will not sign it. Keane said that will never happen. And lo and behold, it did happen. But she made the decision, knowing that she didn't have time, she made the decision not to sign it and go to the High Court and gave the whole country her time that she didn't have to ensure that the women that were involved in cervical screening, in cervical check scandal, that they were informed that they were one of the 221 plus women as well. So she was this same person as a young child that you all saw in 2018, 1920, that we all saw on the national air. We heard on national airwaves and saw on TV. She was that strong person all the time.
Yeah, she had that brilliant way of being strong and forthright, but also warmth and light. And what was it like to sort of watch your friend go through that? Because it became her motivator and something to live for, but it was also at a time of very ill health draining her, because there were so many things that she agreed to. I know there was plenty of time she made to spend with her family and make memories, but there must have been an element of it that was draining for her.
Absolutely. And you look back now and you think it's like Vicky was an ordinary person, and that's what people love about her. But she was extraordinary at the same time. And I spend a lot of my spare time continuously listening to Vicky's interviews and podcasts and so on. And like that, I'm aghast sometimes. I'm wondering, how did she get all this time? It's amazing what she did in this very short space of time. I wasn't surprised though, and many of Vicky's friends, especially her best friends, they were not surprised that she was doing what she was doing, because this is the Vicky that they knew. It's the same woman, that same girl that they knew. But she did. She was very forthright, but she had very strong principles as well, Vicky did, and when, she knew in her heart and soul that if she signed a non-disclosure agreement, it would be, for her immoral, that knowing that there was women that needed to be told. But no, she took the hard road. And additional to that, then she campaigned for, an improvement in the healthcare system, an improvement in society as well, and a change as well in society for everybody to, I suppose, go with your gut instinct was one of her, her mantras, if you like, and question everything. If you don't feel the answer you're getting back is right, question it. This was her mantra. But that's what she did. She gave everybody this time to campaign all those messages and awareness campaigns as well.
And to speak out was tough, but to stay silent was even tougher.
Yeah.
Tell us about the portrait then.
So the portrait. Well, before Vicky went to the States, the portrait was unveiled on the Late Late Show by Vicky herself before she went away to get the to go on this clinical trial after pembrolizumab. So we knew straight away we had to get this. It was a must do, but it was going up for auction, so it wasn't guaranteed that we could buy it really, and for how much. So we had a limit. I didn't tell Vicky until the morning of the auction, so she sent me back this big screaming text. Oh my God, don't overdo it, Davy. So,
did you have a limit?
I did.
For yourself in your mind?
Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we blew the limit, but but yeah, we look at it. Took 6 minutes. The auction took 6 minutes. It was online. Some people were on phones, and some people were actually online. But it took 6 minutes in total, and the hammer dropped, and it just snowballed then from there. But we had spoken about what the portrait could do, or what we had envisaged what it could do as a campaign, and to continue Vicky's legacy, essentially. And, the COVID lockdown scuppered our events happening. But we did, when Vicky returned from the States, we had one on the January when she returned in Monkine, in her hometown. So, and yeah, ever since then, we've gone around the country. We've been in WIT. We've been on TV with it, on various radio shows as well. We've just finished one down in Tralee 3 weeks ago, and we're coming to Drogheda next week as well on the 26th. So they're usually a 2-day event. We have panellists come along as well. Cian O'Carroll, Lorraine Walsh will be there, and Kiva O'Neill Ford from 221 Plus as well. And John Wall will also join us too. So John comes to most events as well. And they take about 2.5 hours, everybody hears Vicky's story. So the portrait itself contains Vicky's life story. I tell her story right from childhood up to the first unveiling of the first panel, we'll say. And we take it from there. There's 3 panels in total. And the first one is a black horse. The centre panel is Vicky posing. And there's a huge amount of symbolism. And it does take about 45 to 50 minutes just to go through the portrait itself.
And Vicky worked on this with the artist Vincent Devine.
She did. I mean, it's essentially, her book Overcoming. It's her book in portrait, really. And so she was very much involved. It was a collaborative method in terms of producing this. So, Vincent didn't arrive along with a paintbrush down to the beach in Dockmore. He arrived along with a camera and a chair, and Vicky sat in the surf. And over the course of a few months, she essentially spilled her life out, and they used the book itself to do that. And it's amazing what's in it. But moreover, those that haven't met Vicky in person, it is essentially almost it's as good as meeting Vicky in person, because they are hearing her story from somebody that knows her. Her parents come along to every event as well. So it's quite emotional. There's a lot of emotions in it. People feel angry. People feel upset. They're inspired, though. That's the thing. And at the end of it then as well, people demand change. And people will get checked, because that's the message that Vicky wants, is to look after your own health, be empowered to look after your own health as well. So she is still saving lives. She is still working.
Yeah, keeps that fire burning.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you feel about the portrait now? Does it bring you joy? Does it bring you sadness? Does it bring you inspiration? All of the above?
It does. Claire, this portrait sits on my landing, and every event, even talking about the portrait, because I know what's in it, it's very emotional. It really is. And at every event, I get emotional. That's the effect of Vicky. That's the power of Vicky Phelan, really. And people up and down the country, we're so surprised as well, because you almost try and detach distance away from our home and assume that people are, let's say, not as emotionally connected to Vicky as as you could be, but they are. It's Vicky held everybody close to her heart, and in the portrait that's symbolised as well. It's symbolised as the shamrock, which is sitting on top of her heart in the portrait, and that's the people of Ireland. So, it is an emotional affair. It's draining on me each time. We don't have a big team of people. All there's me in the background. I have my day job as well. So pulling it all together is, it's a big task. We do depend on the colleges, universities, cancer research or cancer support centres to, club together committees. And I think everybody puts their shoulder behind the wheel and gets them over the line. But they're the most amazing events, honestly.
Well, I'm hosting the one on the 26th. I'm really looking forward to it. Will you remind people where it's on and where they can get tickets? Yeah, so we'll be in Drogheda. We've got two Facebook pages. One is Vicky's Tribe. One is Vicky Phelan Portrait. All the details go up there for all the events. So the 26th will be in Drogheda. The hosting cancer support centre is Gary Kelly Cancer Support Centre. And we'll have music, we'll have panellists, and the experience of the Vicky Phelan campaign and portrait tour, which is not to be missed. And on the Saturday, we will have a more informal event then, for it's like a walk-in event. So people can come, walk in between 11 and 1 o'clock. And I will do a portrait talk then at that time as well. So, it's going to be a wonderful event, like they all are. So looking forward to it, yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me as part of it. I'm really honoured and privileged to be helping keep the fire burning. As I say, David Brennan, thank you very, very much for coming on. Thank you, Claire. Thank you.